I would love to welcome everyone here today. We've already had our quick little round of introductions. Hopefully we'll have some more people join us as we go. But Eugene and I started the concept several meetings ago of the wheel of life and everything that actually goes into what our life is. And career is obviously a big part of that. And when we asked people what they wanted our next session to be, the most people said career. And then I immediately thought of my friend Jeannette, because what she talks about is one of those things. And I've known Jeannette for 20 years. And every time she tells me, you need to get better at this. And so, but what she's going to talk about is something that we all absolutely have to do. And that is be able to talk about ourselves, really brag about ourselves. And, we've been talking about age. I think Adam is probably the youngest one on this group, but we were all told growing up, it's not polite to brag about yourself. And so we have to get over that. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeannette. I have set it so that you can share slides. And, but we are going, like I said, when she's done, we're all going to give our brag statements. So everybody be thinking about it. Take notes.
So while I'm doing a quick intro here, everybody get paper and pen. So I know some of you love the technology, but this is not one of those times to use it other than, of course, Zoom. So have paper and pen, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a minute. So how many of you, I love that we have a nice variety here of people, from people already in business, established in business, to people who've been there and are moving on. I love that. I think all of us come to a point in life where we need to move forward. The key that keeps us stuck, the key that keeps us from actually feeling really good about this in 6 months to a year, is that we don't get out there and share ourselves in such a way that we actually grab hold of something that we love. So what we're going to be doing today is learn how to brag such that you get those great big wow opportunities, and you look back in 6 months to a year and you go say, thank you for the ability to get out there and sell myself and win those opportunities, because it's all in how you speak. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions to get us started here. How many of you love your introductions? Now, your introductions could be in job interviews. They could be at a trade networking meeting. They could be on your bio. So how many of you love them? Yeah. Okay. Some of you do, some of you don't. How many of you could use some tweaking? Yeah. And how many of you could use a complete overhaul? Thanks, Stacy, for being honest. So let's talk about bragging, because bragging doesn't always have the best terms, right? Not everybody thinks, oh, bragging, yay. It's like Deb said, we were taught very young. It's impolite. Don't do that. So I remember back when I was 16 years old, and I was dating this guy who had registered to be in a contest for driving. And so I was the good girlfriend. Yay, good job. Everybody, that kind of rah-rah stuff. And then they go, Jeannette, why don't you go try it? I said, well, I'm not registered for this event, Oh, no, Jeannette, just go try it. Just have some fun. I said, oh, why not? Well, my score was so significantly better than the winner that not only was I not applauded, I was actually shunned from the group. So fast forward to today. Being successful today is a big reason, or fear of success is a big reason why a lot of us tend to play small. We tend to dummy it down. We tend to not really share all the great, wonderful things that we've achieved in life. We don't own it. And it comes across in how we walk and how we move ourselves, how we share ourselves, our tone of voice, everything. So we're going to have a breakthrough in that today, and it's going to happen really fast because all of you are going to participate. Yay. So if you can unmute yourselves and tell me, what does bragging mean to you? Shout it out.
Ego.
Money.
Ego. I'm sorry, Deb, I didn't hear yours.
Money.
Money.
Authority.
Authority.
Showing off.
Showing off. Yeah, very, very good.
Arrogant.
Arrogant, being a braggart. Anything else?
You're better than
maybe
everybody
full
else.
of yourself. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me one time, get off your high horse. So, huh? What's that about? And so it could be money. It could be awards. It could be having a passion for your career. And that's what the peacock stands for, is having passion in your career. But it's also a two-edged sword, because a peacock also means being arrogant and egotistical. And so you can see it's very easy to want to share what you've done, but how you come across often doesn't land over there with people as being part of the conversation. It sounds like, ain't I great? Ain't I wonderful? In fact, I knew a person who that's how she actually presented things. And it's like, don't do that. So here's the key to bragging. If you can't sell yourself, and that's sell you, who you are, you cannot sell your products, service, ideas, or win the job offer, the interview, anything. You have to remember right now, we have the great resignation going on. So you got a lot of people out there quitting, they're leaping to new jobs. And the thing is, so there's a lot of competition. So if you're not bragging in such a way that people get your value, you're going to miss out on some great opportunities. So any questions before I move on? No? Okay. So you can do it. I remember years ago when I wrote my first brag book. I've written 4 of them now. So my very first brag book. And there's this woman that calls up, and I'm going to call her Mary. Now, Mary is not her real name, but Mary is a professional keynote speaker, and she's actually quite good. And she said, oh, Jeannette, I'm just feeling not so good because I'm not selling books. I'm not selling workshops. And a lot of times, for those of you who are professional speakers or trainers, know that part of your income comes from the back of the room sales. And what happened was I said, oh, guess what? I'm going to take you through the 5 steps of how to brag. So we went through them. She did the work. And then you know what she said to me? That's stupid. That will never work. True story, Stacy, true story. And I said, whoa. I said, well, you know what? If you get hungry enough, you might want to try it. So you can imagine 2 months later, I'm attending an event where she's the keynote speaker, and she's oozing with credibility before the master of ceremonies, or the MC, gives her the mic. So somewhere along the line, she learned some of the bragging stuff I talked about. Yeah, got stuck in there. And so she did her fabulous job. Afterwards, she had people 2, 3 deep around her wanting more information. And she caught my eye as I was leaving, and she mouthed the words, thank you. So all of us have that capability if we're willing to own what we've done and be present to it. A lot of us aren't even aware of some of the things that we've done. And then we're going to learn how to share it in a particular way that you get people's attention without sounding like a braggart. So everybody ready? Everybody got their paper and pencil or pen ready? Now here's why I'm asking you to write. The reason why I'm asking you to write, because I type a lot myself, but I actually, for my prep work, actually wrote. The reason why, there's a University of Michigan study that found that when you write, you're engaging your brain differently than if you type. And so what we're doing here is creating a breakthrough in being present to all that you've accomplished. So everybody ready? Everybody got their paper and pen ready? Because this is a workshop. I'm actually going to show you exactly how to do this. Okay, so I want you to draw 2 lines on your piece of paper so that you have 3 columns. And then over the first column, write knowledge. The second column, write talent. And then the third column, write achievements. I ask that you stick with me, don't get ahead, okay? And they'll go through pretty quickly. So let's talk about what are you knowledgeable about? So knowledge is, what do you know? Use 1 or 2 words. Do not write a story about it. So for example, I'm an author. So I would write down author as knowledge. I would write down articles. I could write down books, presentations. I could write down coach, assessments, human resource. For those of you in the software, who develop software, might write down software. Could be engineering. I know Lisa's in human resources, so she'd write down human resources. And then from there, Lisa, you can write down benefits and other things of that nature that you do. And don't be afraid to write down things more personal. For those of you who are cat lovers, write down cats. Or Deb likes dogs. She loves dogs, so she shows dogs. So it's important she write that down. Being a parent, a grandparent, a caregiver. My point is, don't write down just a couple and say, oh, I can't think of anything else. I remember doing this presentation years ago. It was called Rewire Your Career. And it was for the Douglas County Library System here in Colorado. And there was a 16-year-old, a young man looking for summer work, and he was not having any luck. And so he was there to learn how to brag so he could go out and get a job. And so when it came to this first column, he goes, Jeannette, I haven't done anything. I'm only 16. I said, everybody has achieved a lot of stuff in their life. We're just not present to it. I said, so what kind of grades do you get? How many people have you helped with homework? How many friends have you talked off the edge, whether it be suicide, drugs, alcohol? And so I had run out of ideas, and he goes, oh, okay. And so I walked back up to the front of the room, and 2 minutes later, he's raising his hand, and I'm going, ooh, I've run out of ideas for him. He goes, oh, no, I need more paper. So if a 16-year-old needs more paper, all of us on here, I believe, are older than 16. We should have sheets of paper, okay? I'm going to ask that you, again, unmic, I'm going to have each of you just give 1 knowledge. Feel free to plagiarize. You can do that here. I'm just going to go according to my screen. So if everybody can unmute, it will save us some time. Deb, 1 area of knowledge.
Social media.
Social media. Eugene.
Technical innovation.
Whoa. Adam.
Science.
Science. That's a good one. Stacy.
Government process.
Government process. Brian.
Music.
Music. Oh, I like that one. Lisa.
Organizational culture.
Organizational culture. Suze.
Connector.
Actor.
Connector.
Oh, connector. Very good. For those of you who like acting, that would be another one. So don't be afraid to add that. Again, do not censor yourself. Do not limit yourself. Just write. Add more paper if you need to. Just keep it to the left-hand side of the page.
Here's what I'd say.
Yes, Suze, you got your hand up?
Now, is tenacious a knowledge or a talent?
That would be a talent. Okay.
I figured I was in the wrong style.
Normally be a talent, but you know what? You write it down wherever you want, okay?
Yeah, how do you define talent versus?
Stubborn.
Oh, Jeanette, you're muted again.
You there?
Yep, how do you define talent?
I'm going to get to there in just a moment.
Oh, okay. I thought we were already there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, sorry. No. For some reason, I keep getting muted.
And we're getting a little background noise from somebody, so we might need to take ourselves on
It
and off.
might be Stacy, yeah, because she's in a business thing. Okay, ready? So the second column is talent. Use a verb to describe each knowledge. Only 1 or 2 words. Some of you here want to get water of the mouth. Do not do that. 1 or 2 words to describe each knowledge. Now, you can have more than one talent. So, for example, with assessments is my knowledge. The talent would be using them for hiring, coaching, managing, and training. As an author, I could be research or books. I could be researching, writing, creating, editing, publishing, marketing. Write as many as you can, but write them underneath each other, like a checklist. And remember, later after this, you might want to just sit and keep writing for a little while it's still fresh in your mind, if you can do that. As for contracts, Stacy, this is a good one as well. A lot of times I remember part of the reason for my first brag book was that women were not being given a lot of the contracts, even though there was a set aside for them. And part of the reason I will assert is they didn't know how to brag. They didn't know how to sell themselves. And I would assert, even though things have changed, things have gotten better, there's still a lot of that going on, particularly with women. So bragging is critical. It differentiates you from everybody else saying that they can do the same thing. So we're going to just quickly go through, do one. So knowledge, one knowledge, and then the corresponding talent, only one, okay? Again, I'm just going to go by my screen here. Deb? If
So
you
I'm
can all
going to switch
unmute,
my
please.
knowledge from before. So I'm saying the knowledge is LinkedIn and the talent is expert.
Expert
Like talent?
is, how would you put a verb to that?
Yeah, see, that's the.
How about posting? How about writing? How about creating?
I put user.
User? Well,
Okay.
that could, yeah.
Expert user maybe would be the tying
Yeah.
together. Yeah. See, this is why I keep having you do this, because I struggle with all of this.
Well, and this is a great point, Deb, that you're bringing up. So thank you for that. A lot of times we get attached to certain words because we've told we need to do that in order to showcase our years of experience, our depth and breadth of experience. Unfortunately, it shuts people down because everybody says they're an expert today. So we want to get more into the verbs to describe each area of knowledge. But that's a great point. Thank you. Eugene?
I had technical innovation, and then the talent was solutioning.
Solutioning.
Mm-hmm.
Can you write code? You
No.
consult?
Can consult. Yes.
Okay. Those actually describe creating solutions. I personally don't have a problem with the word solutioning, but some people might not get that.
Okay.
Just something to think about. You want to remember, this is not about you. This is about your audience. You're writing towards a 12-year-old. Unfortunately, most people only have a 5th or 6th grade reading and comprehension level. So we want to keep this brag stuff as simple as possible, such that people readily get it and they're not questioning.
My wife says I act like a 4-year-old. So somewhere in between there, I'll find the right word.
Exactly. And have fun being a 4-year-old. We all need those days. Stacy?
On government process, I put advising.
Excellent. See how simple that was? Good work. That's as simple as you make it. Good work. Lisa.
For organizational culture, I put communicating.
Excellent. Suze.
I put down that my caring empathy.
Excellent. Adam.
Since my knowledge is science, my talent is educating, communicating, and empowering.
Excellent. You could also write researching, right?
Mhm.
Again, you want to keep writing. Good work. Brian?
I chose a different word. Persuasion is the knowledge and the talent is listening.
Listening. Very good. Very important when you're trying to persuade people. Good work. Keep writing. Again, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Next, we're going to go to achievements. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road, or the secret sauce to your brags. So you want to really listen here, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples to show the difference. I found this out as I was writing. So what you're going to do is you're going to use two numbers to describe or showcase your results. So I'm going to share one with you, and I'm going to show you the difference that these numbers make, okay? So my knowledge is presentations. My talent is speaking. At a Society of Women Engineers event in 2019, I was given the People's Choice Award for Best Speaker. You may say, oh, okay, that's a brag. Doesn't really quite zing, does it? So let's add some numbers. So presentation, speaking. At a Society of Women Engineers event conference in 2019, I was awarded the People's Choice Award for Best Speaker. There were 50 other speakers and over 300 participants. Do you get the wow in that? Do you get the brag in that? And all I did was add two numbers. Now, numbers can be whole numbers. They can be percentages. They can be more than or less than. The key here is don't exaggerate. Like, oh, I have this $1 million idea that I just know it's going to make $1 million, or I've made $1 million with ideas, but nah, it's not in my pocketbook. That doesn't work. It needs to be realistic. People will normally just hear your numbers, that's that. But you might find a couple times where they actually go check. So you don't want to exaggerate here. You just say more than or less than if you don't know. What you want to do is after this is circle those numbers that you don't know and go back and talk with your boss, former coworkers, look at your accounts, whatever, your QuickBooks, and get access to the real numbers. So here's another example of my own. Just again, I'm sharing these with you just to get your juices going. So under assessments, the talent would be hiring. With one $18 million company, I saved them $250,000, reducing their turnover from 42% down to 26%. I did that in 6 months. That's 5 numbers. So don't be afraid to expand beyond the 2 numbers, okay? I'd like to have a couple of you give it a try. I know some of you are going, I don't know. Don't worry, it's not that hard. It sounds harder than it is. Brian, do you want to have a go at this?
Sure. So through persuasion and listening, I helped a client turn $100,000 in marketing into $1.5 million in additional sales in under 1 year.
Excellent. Did you all get the 3 numbers there that he shared? That wasn't bragging, was it? I mean, it was bragging, I'm sorry. That wasn't being egotistical, was it?
Nope.
No, because it's factual. He factually did that. Yeah, good work. Suze, you have your hand up?
By the way, Jeanette, I
was just
cheated
gonna
because I've
give
been to
you
this
my-
before. I'm sorry,
I'm sorry,
Suze.
what? Suze, you had your hand up?
I was just going to offer mine, but then Brian wanted to finish his. Finish, Brian.
No, all I wanted to say is I kind of cheated because I've been to one of your bragging webinars before, so I kind of knew where I was
I
going.
think there were a couple of them, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have been blessed aplenty. Thank you. Yes, we have.
I just want to show everybody you can actually get better at it if you keep watching Jeannette.
Yeah, no, he did. This is like really good work. Good work. Suze, did you have a question?
No, I thought you'd want some examples, hon.
Yeah, go ahead. So the
Okay,
knowledge, one knowledge, one
is the
talent,
caring and
and your
empathy,
achievements.
the connector, caring and empathy. And what I managed to connect us with was we got 2 grants for over $35,000, including local participation of over $4,000 to be able to get a handicap van for our seniors.
Excellent. Now the only other key there to take into consideration, and you might want to write it a couple of different ways, is who is your audience.
Okay.
So from an HR perspective on the assessments and hiring, I might say it a little bit differently. If I was talking to a group of entrepreneurs or business owners, I could say one $18 million company added $250,000 to their bottom line while improving their retention by 16%. Again, everybody's going to have a little bit different focus, so don't be afraid of rewriting it. The key is 2 numbers show results. Okay? And the knowledge and talent, how do you know which ones to use? What is the employer asking for if this is looking for work? If it's a sales presentation, what are their key challenges? Again, and then if it's like writing a book, what's the audience? If it's a group of people at a library, it's going to be different than if I'm sharing the book with maybe a book club and there's a group of moms there. Their focus may be a little bit different. So don't be afraid to play is my point. Okay, any questions before I move on to step 4? Yes, Stacy.
So achievement for me, if we're talking about government process, would it be years of knowledge or being in the industry?
Could be. What did you achieve after being in there for 20 years or 30 years?
Well, I understand the process. I understand the process than most people do, for one. And then I've helped hundreds of businesses in the 15 years we've been in business. So I'm trying to figure out what comes first. You know, does it the years of working in government to help the 100 businesses, or is it the 100 businesses because I was in government?
Well, it could be either way, but what I would suggest you do is go deeper.
Okay.
A lot deeper. Like, what did you achieve? Like, how many women did you work with? And like, I don't know if Winnette is still around or not, but say that you were part of the Winnette Women Grant process. How many women did you help with that obtain whatever loan amount? I mean, you can have that like from 25 grand up to 75 grand. Again, you're going to have to dig a little bit deeper here because Stacy, there's a lot of bankers out there right now looking for.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily deal in that way. I think you guys cross-reference with somebody else, but I deal more on helping businesses get those contracts and get those grants.
So how many people how many business owners have you worked with?
Hundreds.
Okay, so let's say over 100 business owners that I've worked with. What was the value of the loan or the value of the grant?
Yeah, I don't deal with loans, so I'm not even sure if I can explain that.
I'll just say grant then.
Yeah, or contract, grant or contract.
What was the value of it?
Okay.
That's the key.
Okay.
That's the result. It's not that, hey, I've worked in HR for 40 years. It's no, what did I do while I was doing that? I've been a business owner for 29 years. Okay, well, that's nice. But what did I do when I was doing that? I was an executive coach, and I can share a little bit more about that in just a moment. But my point being is you want to get underneath that. That's the juice. That's the secret sauce. that differentiates you from everybody else that says, hey, I've been in banking for 20 years, or I've worked in government contract for 30 years, or whatever. Yet I'm just throwing out examples. Okay, Deb, you have your hand up.
So, another example of how the numbers make a difference. So if I said, I'm a social media consultant who works with clients to show them how important it is to post twice a day. I mean, there's twice in there. I mean, that is kind of a number. But if I rephrase that to say, I'm a social media consultant who works with my clients to show them how posting 30 to 60 times a month increases their interaction by 50%. I mean, it's the same thing, twice a day is 30 to 60 times a month, but 30 to 60 times a month sounds pretty impressive.
Well,
It sounds impressive, but
additional thing I would add there, Deb, is how many clients.
Right. Mm-hmm.
To really
Brian?
give it that punch, that wow, that brag.
Yeah, and so immediately I think only by posting twice a day sounds like less work than doing 30 to 60 times a month.
Yeah.
That's just a little feedback.
Yeah,
That
I would
is true.
agree.
That's
And it depends on the
definitely-
person.
Yeah, I like the first one better. Again, if you say by only posting twice a day, you can increase your engagement by 50%. I've taught hundreds of clients. It's always that, less work, more results kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And so it's like, is the 30 to 60 more of the braggart type of thing, where twice a day is showing the expertise? I mean, that's, and you can see why I struggle with this all the time.
Yeah, Deb, the only thing is how many clients I've shown them how to post twice a day, like what Brian's saying. And as a result, I had one client increase their revenue by 10 grand in 30 days. That's a result. That's a wow. That's a brag. And all of you have done these kind of things. Every single person. It's just a matter of getting access to it. This is a worksheet. This is your way of getting your brain rewired such that you get access to it, because our normal human way of doing things today, most of it's due to society, our teachers telling us and our parents telling us it's wrong to brag, is we're not present to the impact that we've had on what we do. And I dare say this is going to open that up. Eugene?
Yeah, I think one of the things I found working in the corporate world was when it came time to do your self-assessment, I would just like to crawl underneath the desk and say, can I pay somebody to do it? Because it was just very challenging. And even being in the IT industry for a long time, 30 plus years, you're taking capital money and doing these big projects where you're overseeing it, but to try to put value to it has always been challenging for me. And even though I have your book, I did buy Jeannette one of her books, but it's been very, very challenging. Even going through this exercise again, I just want to just cringe and just like, this is tough. It's very, very tough for what I've done. So obviously still need some help, but I just wanted to share that because these self-assessments over the years, and as Lisa knows in the HR arena, it's hard.
Well, it can be. And I think one of the things that I promote is the brag book, more this one, The Secret to Selling Yourself Anytime, Anywhere, for people as employees, is that learning how to brag when you're completing a self-assessment is great exercise, because it forces you to get present to what have I done? And then if you get really good at it, I'll share a couple slides about this in a few moments, but it actually shows you, helps you develop a muscle to become more aware. And the more aware you are, the more questions you're going to ask, such that you can put your two numbers in there. And then it may be that day, it may be the following week, the following month, the following year. You'll keep your ears peeled for those brags and update as you go along. This is not set in stone. This is something that is evolving. Lisa, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to kind of tag on to what Eugene was saying, that kind of two thoughts that'll come back together. I think a lot of times as women, we don't do as good of a job in tooting our own horn, so to speak. And a long time ago, I actually had a boss that told me that I needed to toot my own horn more, that I was kind of selling myself short. So for me, I was braver on my self-assessment in writing and educating my boss on things that I had done in advance of that review than I would have been vocally in a meeting.
Yeah.
So for me, the self-assessment was the time to say, okay, this is my chance to really detail what I've accomplished during this review period.
And I think both you and Eugene and anybody else who's worked in corporate America would agree. Our bosses do not know everything we've done for them. Our customers don't know all that we've done for them. In fact, I had a couple of customers that came to me as their consultant and said, help, I got a major client wanting to run away. I said, well, let's do some brag work. And we did it not on them, but on what they had done for the client. And then I had them clean it up. Of course, you can't just give them everything, right? And put some key points with those results. And in each case, they were able to keep the straying client. So again, you're right on. Everybody's right on. Thanks, Lisa. I'm going to move on to number 4. So this is what you're going to do, is a way of setting a context. It could be a network meeting like this. It could be a trade show. It could be just a great way to introduce yourself. Again, this is just a structure to get you thinking. So who are you professionally? Keep it simple and smart, because people today have a very short attention span. 20 words or less. Remember your audience. So I'm going to give you a couple from me. So if I went, example, so if I came up and said, hi, I'm a coach. You're going to just go, yawn, go away. I already know hundreds of you. Boring. But if I come up and said, hey, I'm the leadership results coach and have guided the creation of 3 millionaires. If you are an entrepreneur or business owner and you're struggling to get to that next million, you're going to want to talk with me like, oh, tell me more. Okay. Another one could be the author. The author of 4 brag books, guiding authors, salespeople, and consultants and entrepreneurs to sell more. So you can add your numbers or not add your numbers, but I will tell you, adding at least one number gives it the pow that a lot of times is missing from these introductions, particularly if you're at a network group. You know, you got the 30 seconds, you stand up and you just blah, 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 blah. You sit down and people go, whoa. And of course, the other problem is if you got stand up for 30 seconds that you think is 30 seconds, and then 3 minutes later, you're finally done. So this keeps you focused, on point, because when you're doing it this way, you have a less of a tendency to babble. Okay? So who'd like to try one? Isn't that what we heard from? Adam. I am. And if you don't want to, just say pass. It's okay.
No. I'm willing. I mean,
okay, go for it. I am.
If you fail, that's how I learn.
Yeah.
I am a scientist in doing sales in the biotechnology division that assists scientists in enabling their research.
Excellent. So you could say, I am a biotech scientist that works with other scientists to create breakthroughs.
Oh, breakthroughs. Okay.
Now, breakthroughs is a big word right now, so use it. You got my attention anyway. Brian, you want to try one?
I was off on a tangent, so give me a second. Go to somebody else and I'll come back.
Okay, Lisa?
So,
no? Stacy?
Okay, I'm like Adam. I am a government expert or contracts expert. Those are the two that I'm kind of, mulling in my head.
How about I advise business owners on government contracts and how to win them. Remember, 20 words or less. Do
I
not
know,
explain
that's where I was
yourself.
trying to get it. Yeah.
Well, and my question for Stacy would be, is there a specific area of government contracting that you focus on? You know, like Adam mentioned the very specific area in science. Is there a specific area in government contracting that you focus on?
Mine is usually compliance. I have a team that does the rest. Yeah.
Okay, and just say, I'm a compliance expert working with businesses and ensuring that their contracts are winnable.
And I've used Stacy's service and she does a great job.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, Brian.
All right, I am, and I'm still trying to think this through because my brain. Sorry, guys, I was.
That's okay. We can pass.
Yeah, I was on a client issue. So, but let me just try something. So, I am. Let me think about the best way to phrase that. I'm an innovative thinker that helps you pull the messages out of your business and put them in front of your perfect customers to increase sales. How's that?
You know, really, that's not bad. Normally, I would stay away from the word innovative, but how you have that contextualized actually works.
Thank you.
The thing that we want to stay away from is words like integrity,
right?
Team player, professional. Why? Because everybody else says the same thing.
Right.
Remember, you're differentiating yourself in 20 words or less, and you will either get their attention or you won't.
What I was trying not to do is use all the current buzzwords like thought leader and, so I'm trying to, the problem is in my business is I come out and say, okay, I'm a marketing strategist. And as soon as I say I'm a marketing strategist, everybody else calls himself a strategist. So then all of a sudden you go from being unique to in a pool, and you've got to find, what is the keyword that puts you over the top but doesn't take you too far out of the consciousness.
Well, I like the word innovative thinker, and you could say something like, I'm an innovative thinker and marketer that will take you out of your box to win. Because something that simple will get people's attention.
Yeah, but
that's why you want to keep it simple.
Yeah, the challenge with the out of the box and the win is it doesn't speak specific enough to the kind of people that I talk to, because when I say out of the box and win, it sounds like anybody. And usually what ends up happening is I work with bigger companies. So when I say out of the box win, it could be anybody from a network marketing company on down, So
you could talk about the companies that you work with. I work with innovative tech companies and helping them XYZ.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that. But the key here is keep it simple. Remember, like you're talking to a 12-year-old, because if they say, what does that mean?
Right.
You've lost them.
Yes.
You're not speaking to them. You're feeding your ego.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's move on to the last step. Now, the last step, my background includes, you will only share, and I underlined the word only share. If they say, after you've introduced yourself, you will only share that my background includes, is if they say, tell me more. Oh, that's interesting. How did they do that? Have them ask you a question. If you don't, you're speaking to dead air. They're not listening. They don't care. Now, in an interview, a job interview, it's less likely to happen, though it could. But it's more likely to happen like at a network meeting, a trade show, things of that nature. Okay, so my background includes is 1 to 2 short paragraphs. Keep it simple and smart. Remember your audience. So if you're talking to HR people, it's not the same talking as with entrepreneurs usually. And use your numbers. You must use your numbers here in order to really get them. So here's an example of my own. I am an executive coach and help guide the creation of 3 millionaires is the I am statement. Oh, wow. Tell me more. And so my background includes, I've worked with hundreds of business leaders to develop and fine-tune their communication and project management skills during the past 29 years. As a result, employees become recognized as leaders. One client hated his boss, but after learning how to work with him, the CEO of a $100 million tech company offered him an opportunity to be president of one of his companies. So notice how I got numbers in there. That's how you're going to do that. I'm not going to ask you to do that on the fly, but that's what it is. That's what's involved to brag, wow them, differentiate yourself, and win the job interview. Okay, I'm going to move on here. So how do you build confidence with brag factors? Because some of you are like, that's kind of really put myself out there. I don't know. What you're going to do is do some mirror work. So just start with your I am, my background includes, and talk to the person looking back at you in the mirror. When you get it, your confidence will shine outward. It's really cool how that works. But here's a couple ideas when you're doing the mirror work. Saying the I am, have some fun with it. Be really serious and significant. Be angry. Have fun with it is my point. Try different ways of doing it. The more comfortable you can become with that person looking back at you in the mirror, the more comfortable you are in delivering I am, my background includes. Journal. I know every morning when I journal, my very first thing I do is write down 3 brags. Now, the reason for doing this is because it helps me get focused on what have I done well yesterday? What have I succeeded in achieving? What have I done? And sometimes it could be just doing laundry and cleaning the house, right? That could be a brag because I need 3 of them every day. So it really helps you to become more aware of the positive things that you've been doing. And it just becomes more natural for you. And then also update your social media, LinkedIn and websites. I know Deb and Brian would say, absolutely do that. And then share. It's all in the sharing. And you're going to find sometimes it's going to fall flat. That's okay. Learn from it. Don't stop doing it though. It's a process. You're not going to say it exactly the same way every time, but make it close. Okay, how to use them. Nominations and bios could be contracts, winning contracts. Social media, we've already talked about. Intros and during presentations. Notice that Deb used a couple of brags for me when she's introducing me. I shared a couple of brags during my presentation. Not to be egotistical, but to showcase that, hey, this is what I've achieved, you can too. Networking and trade shows, this is really, really, really important. Any of you who've got sucked into somebody just talking because they're not really a salesperson and they're afraid to go meet people. Whew, remember, time is money. Say, great, thank you. I see someone over there I need to meet. But you don't want them doing that to you all the time. If you're bragging, they're more likely to be engaged with you and have a conversation. Do not try to sell and close them at these events. Schedule a meeting to follow up. In the business edition, it's outlined exactly how to do a network meeting, learn more about what's going on so that when you actually go into a closing opportunity, you're ready. You're loaded for bear, as they say. And then pitching for podcasts, speaking gigs, collect money, investor money, anything like that. You need to do your brags. Brian or Eugene, did you have a question?
Yes. In our ongoing pandemic and as things are slowly returning back to in-person networking, I have found in these virtual networking groups where you do the introductions, it's challenging because there's a lot of distraction. People aren't paying attention. What are some techniques that you could use? Because I know we talk about make it short and sweet and get your point out there, get people's attention. Do you have any tips for this virtual networking introduction component that gets people's attention other than becoming louder?
No, I think that's a great question. A lot of people just have poor etiquette because they don't know. So what you want to do is have everyone unmute if it's appropriate, or mute if it's more appropriate. Mute if they're coughing, sneezing, having side conversations or anything. Understand, and this is the problem that most people still haven't grappled and come to reality with, is multitasking is a myth. So as the host of an event, you might be the coach and say, you know, I learned this the hard way myself. Tell a quick short story on yourself where you were multitasking, you missed an important selling cue and you missed out on a job or a sale or something like that. Share something and say, so I ask that you pay 100% attention here today. It will actually shorten up our time here. So that's what you would do. And then again, by example, start off with yourself. I am, my background includes. What you're doing is you're setting the tone for others to follow. They're less likely to continue on and on and on. There are people that will do that though. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So here's my wrap up. Here's the brag book. This is the one that Eugene and Deb have alluded to, talked about directly, not alluding to, wrong word, sorry. But it's Time to Brag Business Edition. In this book, it also talks about how to do a network meeting such that you get the information you need. A lot of times people fall into this know, like, and trust, so people do business with me. Guess what? No, you're not looking for more friends. You're looking at what is their issue. And for Eugene, there's a section in here on networking so that you can get access. If you want to stay in the tech world, what is the current things that are coming up? How can I provide? But this is in networking, you're not there to showcase you, you're there to learn so that later you can showcase. And in the front, of course, is the steps that we've gone through. For those of you who have friends and family who are unemployed or underemployed or who have a performance appraisal coming up, this is the book, The Secret to Selling Yourself Anytime, Anywhere, Start Bragging. It's really focused more for employees. And I know I talked with this Fortune 50 company last year where my focus was on that book. I had 83 people start the Zoom call, 83 people end the Zoom call, which was pretty cool. And the thing that was really well noted there was they had, that was told to the event planner was, I now feel more confident sharing my ideas or at performance appraisal time, letting my boss know what I've actually done and what it took to get it done. Those things are very, very, very important. And then for all of you on here, being a podcast guest is something that all of you could be doing to expand your marketing, to get out there and get known. But the problem is many of you won't get invited back because there's a couple of things you might want to learn how to do before you become a guest. This is a workbook that you can get. So if anybody wants this page, you might want to take a snapshot. I know Deb's recording it. That'd be another way of getting it. I'm going to move on. Okay. And then this is about me, how to get in contact with me if you have any questions. Notice at the bottom is the URL for the KTA workshop sheet. If you want, you can go in and get access to that and download it as many times as you need. So Deb, Eugene, I turn this back over to you.
Well, this has been absolutely fabulous, as I knew it would be. And one of the things that you alluded to that I think is so important for everyone is we do try and be everything to everyone, and so then we end up saying, well, I do, we're just so mushy. If you're very direct and they go, then they weren't interested anyway, move on to the next person. I mean, that's the whole thing.
I think
that's a great point.
Yeah, one of the things too, a couple months ago, I was working with Deb on something else and she recommended Jeanette's book, and I do have the business edition and I've gone through it a couple times. where I'm still struggling is what do I want to be in my second part of my life? And so I'm going through that journey, but this book has helped because how do you transfer my 30 plus years in IT and working in different industries over to something that's new? And in the environment that we're in today, with people leaving their jobs and trying something else, it's just a mixed bag of stuff. So it's really good to learn how to brag and use those tips. So I appreciate you, Jeannette, and the tool that I purchased, and it's helped. I just have to figure out the starting point. It's kind of like the game of life, right?
Well,
you are here.
You might want to call me for that. In fact, I was just writing an article on that today. So that will be published in a couple of weeks. So that next step, because the Great Resignation is happening, and a lot of people just, for whatever statement they want to make, are just quitting their jobs. But now they're stuck because they're taking a leap into something same or similar, only to get stuck again. There's other things to be done to help you. Learning how to brag is just one piece of getting unstuck, having that clarity of what's next for me, or in this case for you.
Yeah, one other comment. When I came out of healthcare after 25 years and decided to start my own company, you live in corporate world and everything's sort of the template factor, right? Yeah. And in starting your own company and going out and saying, I'm my own boss, I'm my own salesperson at this point. And I know Stacy and some others on this call have individual companies. It took me quite a while to ramp up to feel confident in myself and the services that I was trying to offer. And it's a big learning curve coming from corporate and saying, I'm going to be my own boss.
No, that's a great point. I've seen it happen too often. Everybody has this rosy factor. Oh, it's great and wonderful. Look, they have all this free time. They get to do this, they get to do that. No, if they're not billing hours and delivering, guess what? They're not.
Right. Well, we've got
Brian,
just a couple minutes left. Does anybody else want to have any comments? And we can go past the time, but I'll stop the recording here shortly. But yeah, anybody else have any other comments?
Brian had his hand up.
Brian.
Yeah, I have to jump in 2 minutes, but I just wanted to talk to Eugene's point, and that is in this face-to-face, less networking environment. The two things that I think that's really important when you're giving an elevator speech or talking or putting your brag on is try to create one of two things, and you can't do both at the same time. It's not easy because it's counterintuitive, but you either have to create a visual in somebody's mind of what you do, what's the vision of success, or you have to create an emotion in their mind of what's success. And those are the two key things, because that's the impression that you're going to leave when all we've got is our heads and talking. So it's really hard to do, but if you can figure that one thing, mine's easy. I've done it for years. It's bacon. Everybody sees bacon and they think of me, and it becomes that thing. But in your case, it's when you're in these networking groups, what's the visual or emotion that you can pop out? That's just it's a concept and an idea. Would you agree, Jeannette?
Oh, absolutely. I think you said it very succinctly. And again, a lot of times in a network meeting, we think we're there to sell. We're not. We're there to market. You cannot market and sell at the same time. It doesn't work out well. If you happen to do it, say, well, see, I can do it. Then you have buyer's remorse, and then some mischief happens. So again, this is all marketing that we're talking about today. Selling and closing is a different conversation, but you still are going to need to use your brags to help you get to that point to close it.
I love it. Bye, Brian. Our next meeting is November 16th. So mark your calendars, same time. And we don't have our topic yet, so we'll be promoting that. With that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.